A quiet lakeside night, a mysterious stranger's touch, and memories I thought I'd buried forever. When one unexpected moment unlocks a lifetime of secrets, nothing will ever feel the same. Hey there, story lovers. Welcome to Blind Thoughts, where every night is an invitation to escape into something unforgettable. Please subscribe to Blind Thoughts and support me. I used to believe that memories lived only in photographs and diaries, that the past stayed pressed between the pages of albums or trapped in the corners of old boxes in the attic. But sometimes a single evening can unfold like a forgotten letter, carrying scents and voices you didn't know you still remembered. That's what happened the night I met Noah Ellison at Grant Walker's Lakeside house. The night a stranger's simple touch brought back an entire lifetime of my memories. I hadn't planned to return to Maple Cove. It had been almost a decade since I'd visited the quiet Michigan town where my father had grown up. After Mom died, I avoided anything that felt like nostalgia because it always hurt too much. But when Dad called and said Grant, his lifelong friend, was hosting a small summer gathering, I felt an unexpected tug. Maybe it was the sound of Dad's voice, warmer than it had been in years. Or maybe it was the smell of lake water that seemed to rise through the phone line. Either way, I said yes. The road to Grant's house wound through thick pines and opened onto a view of the lake that shimmered in the fading sun. I parked and stepped out, the air cool and sweet like it used to be when I was a child running barefoot with my mom along the dock. Dad greeted me with a hug that lasted a beat longer than usual. He looked older, but his smile was the same. Inside, the house smelled of cedar and grilled corn. A handful of neighbors were scattered across the porch. I recognized Grant immediately. His booming laugh hadn't changed since I was 6. He wrapped me in a bear hug and introduced me around. Then, as if the evening had been waiting for a cue, someone new stepped through the screen door. Noah Ellison wasn't anyone I'd ever seen before. Tall, with a quiet presence that drew people in, he carried himself like someone both at ease and slightly apart from the crowd. Grant clapped a hand on his shoulder and brought him over. "Lena, this is my nephew Noah. He just got back from a long photography trip out west." Noah extended his hand. "It's good to meet you," he said, his voice low and warm. The moment our palms touched, a shiver traveled up my arm. It wasn't romantic exactly, more like recognition, as if some forgotten part of me had been waiting for that contact. I must have blinked too long, because he tilted his head with a curious smile. I quickly pulled back, hoping he hadn't noticed. As twilight fell, conversation turned to stories about childhood summers. I wandered out to the porch for air, and Noah followed. "Beautiful night," he said, leaning on the railing beside me. The lake stretched out, dark and glassy, reflecting the first stars. We talked about everything and nothing, the hidden trails around the cove, the way the sky turned violet before dawn, the quiet ache of missing people we loved. He told me about the canyons he'd photographed in Utah, the way silence there felt alive. Somewhere in our quiet exchange, a breeze carried the scent of wet pine and old wood, and suddenly I was 6 again, holding Mom's hand on this very porch, listening to the distant hum of crickets. The memory was so sharp it made my throat tighten. Noah seemed to notice. "You okay?" he asked softly. I nodded, but he reached out anyway, a gentle hand resting on my shoulder. The touch was light, almost tentative, but it grounded me in a way words couldn't. It was as if that simple gesture bridged the years between my past and present. For a moment, I wasn't just a grown woman in a borrowed evening. I was every version of myself, child, daughter, dreamer, all at once. We stayed there until the sky deepened into midnight. No grand declarations, no promises. Just shared silence and the occasional brush of his sleeve against mine. Eventually, Grant called us in for dessert, and the spell shifted back to ordinary laughter and clinking plates. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the curtains as I packed my bag. Noah was on the porch, camera in hand, capturing the lake before dawn burned away the mist. We exchanged a quiet goodbye. "Safe travels, Lena," he said, offering that same steady smile. I wanted to ask if I'd see him again, but somehow I knew the question didn't need an answer. Driving away, I realized that nothing between us had been about romance. It was something rarer, a reminder that life's smallest connections can unlock entire rooms of memory. Noah's touch wasn't the start of a love story, it was the gentle key to all the moments I'd hidden away since Mom passed. The scent of pine, the sound of the lake, the warmth of a stranger's hand, all of it lingered like a melody I finally remembered how to hum. Now, whenever I feel the weight of the everyday pressing in, I think back to that night at Maple Cove. I can still feel the breeze on my skin, still hear the quiet of the stars above the water, and still sense the echo of that simple, grounding touch. It taught me that some strangers don't enter our lives to stay. They arrive to remind us of who we've always been. And that is a memory worth keeping for a lifetime.